YouTube was good, it's your boy. Powers Harris, aka Crazy Uncle. Hey, guess what? If this your first time tuning in, go ahead. Hit doggone subscribe button. Hit notification bell every time I post some new content. Well, apparently, uh, there's a movie that came out titled Him. And apparently it's doing pretty good with people talking about it and all the kind of stuff. And then, but it's interesting when people can go watch a movie, right? And okay, they can actually like really they'll watch it, not to say that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, right? But they can go and watch a movie. And then they could be like, okay, well, it was good, but I really didn't catch where shit was going, or then people can actually really say, well, all right, well, I watched it. It was pretty good, right? And I got a pretty good idea of what the fuck they actually really talking about, right? And then again, I'm not here to sit up here and tell nobody that they're wrong, especially on stuff like this, right? But with Jordan Peele, right? Um, good, he a good director. To my understanding, I think he directed the movie Us, which I really figured that shit out inside of 5 minutes, right? I mean, because basically all what it was is that you being you, and then actually really looking yourself as a shadow every time that you carry your ass outside, especially when the sun is out, or even at nighttime. If the moon is shining, if the moon is shining bright enough, yeah, you're gonna doggone cast a shadow. But just know that the moon gets its light from the sun. So, hey, you take that for how it is, right? But now hit this new movie, here, right? Now, I know what a lot of y'all gonna say, right? How the hell you finna talk about something and you ain't even seen it yet? Well, see, this is where the magic of the crazy uncle comes into play, right? I'm a crazy. Listen, I'm the crazy uncle for a reason. Well, for several reasons, right? And just looking at my grandparents, most of y'all should already know at least what one of the reasons are. But here's the deal: when you get to look like me, right? Not to say just because I'm 52 years old, that don't mean that you finna have a gray ass beard just like me. Just know that I've seen some shit and I've studied some shit, and now I actually really understand how all of this shit goes together, or a big majority of it, right? So let's actually really stop and look at it. Isaiah White, not to say that that's red flag number one right there, right? And then you go back and look at the team that he was playing for, the San Antonio Saviors, Isaiah White, right? And then I just want y'all to see this, right? Y'all see that right there? Isaiah White or Isaiah. What does that? What it mean to Look at it. What that mean in translation, people? So for the most part, you can say God is white in this. And then for anybody that's actually like really have watched the NFL long enough, you already know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? Basically, all what the fuck this movie is nothing more then the NFL, as far as like whether they have progressed or they haven't, right? But see, I'm gonna tell you something. And so, but here's the deal. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to stay on focus. I'm trying to be focused on this one, right? But so here's the deal. You look at this guy, right? And then who just retired not too long ago? Tom Brady. How many rings that Tom Brady got? He got 7 of them, right? But here's the deal. And then, just like I said, you know, if y'all want to say I'm pulling a race card on this, then hey, by all means, do so, right? But before all of this stuff ever happened, right? You know, I really don't know how many of y'all have been watching football long enough, but just know that this shit been around 100 plus years. I want to say this is either the 105th or the 106th season of the NFL, right? And so what a lot of people may not uh, realize, right, that yes, there was football before the 1970 merger. So basically, what Jordan Peele did, and which I'm not here to speak for nobody, but just looking at what this person has done, right? He has taken football from the merger from 1970 to present. So if you actually want to stop and think about it for a minute, Tom Brady got 7. This guy got 8, right? So for the most part, it's all in a sense, it's almost predicting the future damn near, right? But then again, if you take it back before 1970, who was the one quarterback that actually had 10 of them things? Championship rings is a championship ring. Regardless, like this, if it's on a professional level, hey, guess what? You got your championship ring. But then this is where you can actually really say, okay, well, you know what? The NFL was this. You had the National Conference, you got the American Conference. They did their thing, we did our they did their thing, right? And then after a while they say, hey, boom, let's all come together. And let's see how far we can actually really take this. So let's act so since the merger has happened, right? We've had a lot of teams go to the Super Bowl. So, but let's look at it like this, right? Terry Bradshaw, how many rings he win, right? He won 4 of them, right? Then here comes Joe Montana. How many rings he win, right? So for the most part, right, everything fine and cool, right? But then what happened? Charles Haley comes into the picture, and he win 5. Now, granted the fact, he won 2 with Dallas. I mean, 2 with San Francisco, 3 with Dallas. And then he was a non-quarterback player. Matter of fact, he played on the defensive side of the ball. But then if you actually really stop and look at it for a minute, now, granted the fact, trust me, the NFL already knew what the fuck was going on with Otto Graham, right? But motherfuckers be like, okay, no, we want you to focus on from 1970 on, right? So for the most part, okay, now these motherfuckers mad, right? Okay, this, put like this. I mean, I don't know what the fuck was said, but my whole deal is this. This motherfucker got 1 ring more than the 2 that we didn't actually really put up there as far as like, okay, the greatest to ever do it, right? So time progressed, 1978, I think that's what his birthday is. Tom Brady is born. And we already know the history of Tom Brady. Now, grant the fact, basically what they did, what the NFL did, is like, okay, look, we're not gonna give you autogram numbers as far as like championships, okay, but we can actually really send your ass to the game 10 times, just knowing that you only gonna come away with 7, right? But then here comes, but so now you take all of that, right? But then again, if you actually really stop and think about it for a minute, okay, so let's actually really look at the number 7 for a minute. 7 means motherfucking completion, right? So Tom Brady, he got 7 rings. And then, to my understanding, I think Lance Armstrong, he won the Tour de France 7 times, unless they actually really stripped him of those championships. I really don't know. But here it is. You got 707. And the only reason why I bring up Lance Armstrong because of what the fuck I saw in the trailer. Right? Draw his own blood, put it up, use it for a later date. Right? That's what Lance Armstrong did. Or that's allegedly what Lance Armstrong did. Right? And so basically, so it's just like, okay, he done took from football and then he went to cycling, right? But like I said, here it is. You got Isaiah White. He got 8 of them things. And then you pass it off to your little young protege, right? But then you gotta actually really look at, okay, well, look at his skin color versus doggone Marlon Ware's skin color. And I already know, I hear it in my head right now. They're like, oh, come on now, you gonna bring up the put like this. If y'all want to call it a race card, call it a race card, right? But basically, all what the fuck I'm trying to get y'all to understand. Okay, look, this is how this shit is played, right? The African American, so-called African American, have dominated this sport, right? But when it actually really comes to that, the one position, the number one position, right? For whatever reason, that wasn't the case, right? But we all know about a lot of the quarterbacks, like James Harris, I think his name is, and we all remember what the fuck Doug Williams did, right? So all I'm saying is this: if you're gonna sit up here and holler about I'm playing the race card, then actually really stop and think about, okay, how come it actually really took so long, or why was Doug Williams actually really chosen to first to ever do it? And again, y'all can be like, okay, well, damn, crazy uncle, you act like that this shit is fixed. Well, hey, look, just like when these motherfuckers actually already know who's gonna win the election, guess what? They already know who the fuck is gonna win in professional sports. Whether it's football, basketball, baseball, boxing, hockey, you name it, they already know what the fuck is going on. So in either case, right, you can actually really look, like I say, you can look at this movie in so many ways, right? But as far as like the actual title, him, they actually really did some research, and it was actually like really supposed to be called Goat, but they changed it to him. But then when you actually really stop and look at it, right? Notice how I got the word eloHIM spelled, right? Because I want y'all to actually really look at the him in this. Because we already know what him is. We already know what the fuck a goat is, right? But when you actually like really write out the name, eloHIM, right? The E stands for the lion. Damn. The E stands for the eagle. The L stands for the lion. And the O stands for the ox. And the him, right? Meaning that that's Yahweh himself, in which he is the king of all kings, right? And but then you might say, okay, well, what about the goat? Well, just note that the goat is part of the oxen family. And then when motherfuckers say, oh, I'm the greatest of all time, and then you see goat right there, then you almost gotta, then here comes the $64,000 question. Who the fuck you think they worshiping here? Right? Because with the him, right? If it's like it's 9 major attributes about Yahweh himself: intelligence, knowledge, wisdom, beauty, love, justice, foundation, power, and strength. So even with this movie, right? Guess what? You still one short, but then whoever gave Jordan Peele the green light on this, right? Don't you that just know this, people. These motherfuckers, these people are up to something, right? Because what happens is this. People always want to holler about equal rights this, equal rights that, equal rights the other, right? And then after a while, right, if you bitch, if put like this, if you bitch long enough, this shit is gonna happen, right? But even then, there's a price to pay, even with all of that. But then here's the deal. You gotta actually really, they're like say, you gotta look at this and be like, okay, you know what? Brady goes, right? And then what motherfucker said? Who gonna be the next GOAT? Then they try to put that they try to put that shit off on Patrick Mahomes now. But dog, you just got your ass whooped in the Super Bowl, right? And then for anybody else, right, that actually really takes on that type of persona, right? The two motherfuckers that's in the league right now, they ain't gonna be in the league that damn long. Well, no, to be perfectly honest, like, no, I really don't think Patrick Mahomes is not gonna get 5 more rings. You know, and then Dak Prescott, he may get one, right? But it's gonna actually like really take somebody that's in the league now, right? Or this is like the first or second year in the league, right? Where that for the most part they might actually really get to that damn number of having 8 championship rings. But the way that shit is now, which for the most part, it kind of actually really makes me go back to what happened in the NBA finals a few years back when all what the fuck you saw was Cleveland and motherfucking uh, Golden State. These motherfuckers just happen to be the best teams every year for motherfucking 4 years straight, I believe. Right? And so for the most part, right, yeah, it's far fetched, but it probably could be done. It probably could be done, because if I actually really stop and think about it, well, damn, I forgot about motherfucking Bill Russell. I forgot about Russell got 11 of them things. But then y'all be like, oh, well, that's before Well, it wasn't as many teams back then. See, motherfuckers always want to come up with some old bullshit ass excuse, right? But when you actually really stop and think about it for a minute, right? Championship rings are championship rings, right? So for the most part, uh, to be perfectly honest with you, it all depends on how you actually really go and look at this movie. Just like I said, I ain't even seen the movie, and I already know what the fuck it's all about, right? What nothing. People holler about, well, okay, baby, I got it. People talking about, well, it's hard to decipher. Ain't shit hard to decipher about it, right? Whether you actually really look at death in a physical sense or in a spiritual sense. Just know this: a sacrifice is always being made to actually really get to where the fuck you want to get at in life. But the $64,000 question that you got to ask yourself as an individual, right? Yeah, I want this. Yeah, I want that. Yeah, I want the other. But then again, this also goes back to what the fuck I always tell y'all, that one important date that happened in American history. And that's August 15th, 1971. Find out what the fuck happened on that day, right? Know it to actually really be true. And then every goddamn thing else ain't nothing more than a motherfucking illusion. Once you figure that shit out, or actually like when you actually really see this shit to be true, however you want to look at it, however you want to pronounce it, however you want to word it, right? Just know this. All of this shit that we have right now, right? Yes, we have it. Yes, we can touch it, right? We can do whatever the fuck that we want to do with it, right? But just know this, right? Who's in really control here? Whether it's on a physical sense or physical sense, spiritual sense, whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that this shit is the Matrix. I'm not saying this, right? Because ain't no goddamn glitches in the original program, right? The only glitch, if any, is that your motherfucking ass ain't been paying attention. So, with that being said, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell Big Dad, tell Big Bertha, your uncle, your auntie, your grandma, your papa. Motherfucker next door, cross the street, round the corner, Paulus Harris, aka Crazy Uncle. I'ma holler at y'all.